Okay, guys, here is how our first, mini lesson is going to work. We are looking at, for all of you who are new to my class, the way that you find kind of where all the information is. We go to Canvas, Biology, always section 1, section 1, section 1, section 1. That's where we all are. And then we have always go to modules. If you scroll to the bottom, I have our new module, Unit 20, Organisms and Their Environment. That's where we left off before we took a break, and that's what we're jumping back into. So what I'm going to do to kind of give you the best way that I know how to do this is divide our unit into its individual sections like it is in the textbook. I would encourage you to make sure you've downloaded that. It's also in modules at the very top, where you can download our textbook, be reading through those chapters. That's going to help you out a ton. And what I'm going to do is just go through the textbook with you, highlighting the different key terms and walking you through each of those for each section. For this one, I don't have, the textbook didn't have like a great graphic, so I'm just talking to you, and I want to kind of walk out the steps of how we're going to do this. So for this one, I'm just looking at the screen, but for the next section, I'm going to try to talk as we look at some visuals on the screen. Oh, the bells still ring here. It's kind of strange. It's so weird because none of you are here. It's really sad. Okay. All right, so just to hop right into it, ecology. Ecology is the study of living organisms and their environment. This is going to be something that maybe interests some of you. I don't think you realize how important it is just to know just things that, as we live on Earth, we are sharing it with not only just other people, but organisms. So any living thing that you can deal with, like take for example, we live in Mississippi, and we just smashed into a deer a couple weeks ago, and it messed up the front of our car. We deal with deer that run out in front of cars all the time. Sorry, y'all. There's a red wasp in the light up there, and this is what it is. Okay, so we'll just keep an eye on that. Again, we live in the South where there's bugs and all that good stuff. Hopefully, it doesn't sting me. Now, back into it. We live in an area where deer are always running out into the road at certain times of the year. Learning that we've kind of encroached upon their area and where they live and their habitat, their communities. Something that my husband dealt with at work not too long ago. He works with economic development at the local Chamber of Commerce, and they had a huge plot of land that they had bought, ultimately, hopefully to recruit an industry to come and build a great company on that site, hire lots of people, also increase the economic greatness of Corinth and all Corinth County, but on that plot of land, apparently it was a habitat for a species of bats. So they had to have all these environmentalists come in and study the area, see if these bats could be relocated. Sometimes their land is deemed as wetlands, so you can't build on it. There's all these things that come into play that you never really think, is this going to matter to me? But you never know when, it might come around where it does matter, and you need to know a little bit about it. So when we look at ecology, the study of the environment, all the living things, the first thing we start off with is habitat. By definition, habitat is the area where an organism lives. So if we are looking at a specific type of creature, the book gives you a tadpole. So the habitat of a tadpole actually differs a little bit as it grows and turns into, of course, a frog. But its initial habitat is some type of pond or area, obviously, with water. Now, habitat then, as we have those creatures, the mini tadpoles would become what's called a population. So all the tadpoles together, that's the population of tadpoles. From there, we can go up a level. They're not going to be, as a tadpole, the tadpole's not the only thing living in that pond. So from there, the pond makes a community. It's all the living things that are in that pond form what's called the community. And so that's going to be all the different species living in that same habitat of all the populations that form that community. And then from there, we can look at what's called the ecosystem. So This would be the living organisms in the pond, specifically the water, the stones at the bottom of the pond, the mud at the bottom of the pond, everything, everything that you can think of in that area, that's going to be the ecosystem. Okay, and then one other term that we want to point out is something called the niche. The niche is the way in which an organism lives its life in the ecosystem. So, for example, with those tadpoles, they eat algae and other weeds in the pond. They might disturb the pebbles at the bottom of the shallow areas. They are actually going to excrete ammonia into the water as they breathe in oxygen from the water and breathe out their carbon dioxide. And all of those things are part of the niche that that tadpole lives in and survives in. So ultimately, the niche is just what do you need to survive? How do you survive? We have a certain niche. Every animal has a certain niche. And just how it, is part of its ecosystem, part of its community, part of its population, then of course part of its habitat. Okay, so that's the first section, and the next we will move on to energy flow.